It just seemed like a salary dump, and that's what the shocking part of it is. But also, let's take a look at this. From a Giants perspective, they have money to spend. People weren't taking their money. Now that they hit the trade market, and quite frankly, I did thought they got a steal. You're talking about a guy that should be good in the major leagues for the next 7 to 8 years in his prime, and the going rate of a salary for a great baseball player from the free agent market, it's $300+ million. That's what San Francisco made out well.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter or this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scott, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Hey everyone, welcome into NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Adam Kaufman in for Craig Mish all week long, and today we have got a lot in front of us. We'll get to some golf. Obviously, we'll mix in plenty of baseball, lots of basketball as well, because right now we are at the halfway mark of the NBA draft. Round 1 last night, round 2 tonight, and of course moves being made all throughout the league as well. Last night, if you watched the opening round of the NBA draft, it was not chalky, that is for sure. Plenty of mock drafts out there, got a whole lot wrong. Wasn't overly compelling with respect to trades. There were a lot of trades in terms of assets, draft picks, guys picked last night that were moved around, some questionable decisions. I'm looking at you, New Orleans Pelicans, but there was not a lot of movement among current NBA players, guys with NBA experience, other than Mark Williams changing teams again after that failed trade to the Lakers from the Hornets last year. We will get to that. But it all began, of course, with number 1, the main event. Cooper Flagg, the man that we all knew. I don't know why teams insist upon running out the clock to build up the drama. We all knew Cooper Flagg was going to go number 1 to the Dallas Mavericks after the Mavs somehow, some way, despite having a less than 2% chance, won the NBA draft lottery, and the conspiracy theorists all over social media in the wake of that happening on draft lottery night. The questions of, well, is this kind of a give back to Dallas, to Nico Harrison, for making that deal that sent away Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers in a deal that was mocked and ridiculed from the very second it was made, with Anthony Davis coming back the other way without even shopping Luka around the league. And so, I don't know, Cooper, any funny business?
On behalf of all the internet conspiracy theorists who couldn't be here tonight, I have to ask, there are tons of rumors floating around that the NBA gave Dallas the pick to get you in exchange for Luka Doncic. Do you have any reaction to that?
No. I don't know what to say about that. I have no insider information, if that's what you're looking for, but I just feel blessed for the way it all worked out.
Front row on the right.
Congratulations. Has it started to sink in yet? I know the journey has been a long one, and it finally culminates tonight.
I don't think so. I don't think it's set in yet. It feels surreal. I'm just playing the moments back in my head, standing up, hearing my name, and it went so fast. Like it feels like a blur, but I just feel really blessed and honored just to be here.
The now former Duke stud and 18-year-old reigning Player of the Year in college basketball, multiple Player of the Year awards, joins a Dallas Mavericks team that is, has a lot of talent. I'm not going to call it a great team, a contending team, but a team that definitely has promise between Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving when he comes back from his injury, a whole collection of bigs there, and veterans like Klay Thompson as well. Cooper Flagg joins an opportunity to, cement himself as obviously everyone expecting him to be, and he is the odds-on Rookie of the Year betting favorite. But, what can he do as the elite two-way player that he is in his first year in the NBA? It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Now, that was a known commodity. We knew that Cooper Flagg, the Maine native, was going to wind up down in Texas. What we did not know is where Rutgers star Ace Bailey was going to wind up. Now, that is in large part because he was basically actively tanking his own draft stock for the sake of having a preferred destination. A lot of people believe that would be Washington or it would be Brooklyn. This is a guy Philadelphia was interested in, reportedly anyway, at number 3. Thing is, he is the only prospect, American prospect anyhow, that refused to meet or work out with any teams. There were no workouts, and so he winds up going number 5 to the Utah Jazz, a team that was not one of his preferred destinations and was not necessarily on his radar.
Ace, there was a lot of speculation, the buildup in your draft process. You seem pretty happy to me to be going to Utah. What do you say to people that maybe just don't believe that?
I mean, I control what I control, so how they feel. But to my team and me, me focusing on the basketball and them doing what they're doing, so it happens.
Ace, this is a Utah Jazz team with a ton of young talent, particularly at the guard spot. How do you feel like you're meshing with them, and what's your outlook for this Jazz team?
Oh, I feel like once I come in, it's going to be a lot of work. I mean, I feel like I'm one of the person that like to work out a lot. I'm going to push my teammates to be the best they can be. I want to come in and be a leader as a young cat. So,
you're going to Utah. What do you know about the state of Utah, and what do you know about the history of the Utah Jazz, Stockton, Malone, like anything you know about the Jazz?
I don't know a lot, but I'm learning. I'm learning as I go. I mean, I know it get cold and hot up there, but I'm used to the cold, though, because I've been in Jersey, but I'm used to the heat because I'm from the South, so I get along with it.
Look, if Ace Bailey's goal was to get to a position where he would have opportunities on offense, the elite shot creator that he is, Utah's probably a pretty good spot because that is a team with a good coach, a good front office, some talent on that team. No clear-cut path to the playoffs anytime soon, but a miserable offense throughout last year. And Bailey, coupled with another rookie, Walter Clayton Jr. out of Florida, who joins him as a top 20 pick, two guys that definitely have an opportunity to put forth really fun seasons. So I mentioned there were very few current NBA players that moved around the league last night, just a couple. One of them, certainly the biggest name, not that it's a huge one, Mark Williams of the Charlotte Hornets, who, of course, you'll remember during the year was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Then there was a failed physical in there, and that trade was undone. He wound up back with Charlotte. Can't imagine it sat well with him. It was only a matter of time before they were going to move on from him, so they wind up doing so last night as the former Duke product moves to the Phoenix Suns, a team that has certainly been in need of bigs, and he's not the only one. You see it on their screen. They also drafted Kaufman Malawach, also of Duke, a couple years behind him, and so these two bigs together wind up going to this situation in Phoenix, who is a team that is in transition, as we know, with Devin Booker still there, Kevin Durant no longer there, now a Houston Rocket, and a good fit for both these guys to potentially work together. Certainly, Malawach with that athleticism is going to be a really solid pick and roll, lob threat kind of situation with Devin Booker. Should be fun to watch next year for a Phoenix team that admittedly probably isn't going anywhere. We switched to the Diamond, and yesterday, I know we have afternoon baseball today, game starting in just a couple hours, a whole lot of fun ahead of us, but yesterday, it's always good. Look, home runs are fun. I know. Home runs are a good time. Chicks dig the long ball, as Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux used to tell us in that famed Nike commercial. But pitcher stools are a pretty good time, too. And for a little while, we had one between Jacob Mizorowski as well as Paul Skeens, the reigning Rookie of the Year in the National League with Pittsburgh. It was a wonder what we were going to get between the Pirates and Brewers yesterday, and what we got was Mizorowski continuing to just deal. Man, this guy is 3-0 in his short major league career with an ERA barely above 1. Didn't allow a hit in the first 10-11 innings of his major league career. He was fantastic. 4-2 win over the Pirates for Milwaukee. As for the Braves and Mets, got together again, and I'm not stuttering when I say this. The Mets won a game, folks. I know they've really struggled, but Juan Soto coming alive at the right time.
How much more fun has June been compared to April and May?
It's been great. It's been great. I think it's starting to happen. You know, my swing, everything is going the right way. Definitely, that's only personal because at the end of the day, we're trying to win games. It doesn't matter if I hit 2, 3, 10 homers. What I care is about winning the game. So it hasn't been that good at all. So we just got to try and keep going.
Soto homered twice for the Mets. That is only 2 wins in the last dozen games, but a necessary one yesterday. The Cubs, meanwhile, thumped the Cardinals in a bounce back 8-0. You saw Matthew Boyd with 6 scoreless innings to help Chicago. The Yankees and the Reds got together again. Max Fried, first 10-game winner, led the Yankees to a dominating 7-1 victory over Cincinnati. We're just getting started with baseball. We're going to come on back. We've got Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News joining us next. We'll look ahead at what we have today.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter and this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
As we know, it's just we enter every year and it's like, is this the Ravens' time? Is this Lamar Jackson's turn? Can they get past the Chiefs and all of these other, stalwarts of the AFC? But it's always really about Kansas City when we're talking Baltimore.
This potentially, Adam, as I send it back to you, potentially is a game changer in that you get a very talented quarter at a discount price.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Oklahoma City now becomes one of 4 NBA teams ever, one of 3 NBA champs ever, to win at least 84 total regular season and postseason games.
It's just the beginning, Ben, and you just look at a team with, these guys at such a young age, and, Chet's got a team option, Ismail Dieng has a team option, Jalen Williams team option, Keyshawn Wallace team option. Hey, Ben, they're all coming back.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Back on NewsWire, and we bring on Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News to help us talk through some Major League Baseball, a little bit of yesterday, what we have in front of us today. Matt, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's always fun to have day baseball, and everything gets started in the next couple hours, and nothing too late into the night. As a matter of fact, Matt, the final game that we have tonight, it comes right around 7 o'clock Eastern, and it's yet another matchup between Atlanta and New York. These teams have seen each other a half dozen times over just the last couple of weeks, and the Braves have won all but one of them. The Mets finally getting a victory in a high-scoring game yesterday. What should we expect tonight with a couple of pitchers on the mound with sub-4 ERAs in Holmes and Canning.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I mean, obviously with the Mets, you look at kind of their season, it got off to that just, red hot start. Everything looked great except for Juan Soto. Well, Juan Soto's hitting now, but the pitching has sort of failed them a little bit, and they're having trouble. And on this losing streak that they, snapped last night, but nonetheless, I don't know if everything's all good now in New York. So I think when you look at tonight's game, they just got to keep the bats going, and the big thing is they got to get some pitching going for them, and that's what's been so tough. And on the other side, Atlanta, I mean, they're playing obviously great ball, horrible start, finally get going. They dug themselves in such a deep hole. I think that, there's so many teams in front of them, not only in the division, obviously, but just in terms of even the NL wild card. There's still plenty of season to go. They're a good enough team. They can climb out of it. But, when you dig yourself a hole, it makes things tougher. You put more pressure on you, but they are playing great ball now. And I think they're just a real tough team for anyone, the type of team no one wants to see come postseason. So you want to bury them now. Certainly if you're the Mets in division, you got to get going again. So I think tonight's going to be a really good ball game. I would very slightly favor the Braves, just the way they're playing. I think they're playing better, obviously, and they got all the momentum. But, anytime you get to those divisional games like this, even this, relatively early in the season, I think it makes for a fun outing.
So I'm with you on the Braves, definitely one of those teams to watch, and we'll get to more on that in a moment. As for the Mets, who are just kind of hanging on despite these struggles, they're a half game out in the National League East. The Phillies, though, they've kind of forgotten how to hit, right? In the series with the Astros, a 1-0 loss, a 2-0 loss, and now you got a great pitching matchup today in the a game that Philadelphia is hoping to salvage the series, avoid the sweep. It's Sanchez against Brown. I mean, two guys, either one or both, capable of going out there and dealing. So I don't know if maybe forgetting aside the under is just the play in this one, but who do you think wins?
Yeah, I think this one is, like you said, I mean, it screams under, even though how often do we see these 3-game series where you get two pitchers duels, then you get the getaway, afternoon game, and all of a sudden the bats just erupt out of nowhere and we didn't even see it coming. But no, I think with these two pitchers, it will be relatively low scoring. I think, to me, I just think it's just almost law of averages. The Phillies are too good to get shut out 3 games in a row, right? The bats got to come alive to some degree here. I think, given the fact it's in Houston, I think they do have the slightly better pitcher on the mound. It would say, well, slightly favor them. But I think this is, really a true toss-up game with 2 great pitchers and, 2 really good teams just going head-to-head. And like I said, I kind of think the Phillies bats are going to get going here a little bit. They can't be this dormant. This long in a series, even against a good team. So just a real fun series, 2 good teams. And I don't know, are we going to see them play again? Yeah, that's a little bit of a long shot. You never know. You don't want to predict that at this point, in terms of the postseason, but they're the types of teams who can get there. And that's what makes a series like this so fun.
Let's pull up the National League East playoff odds because it is a fun division, as we've noted. Philadelphia, again, the narrow lead on the Mets. You see minus 130 there to win the division. The Mets plus 110. The Braves, the long shot at 13-1. I don't know. I guess first and foremost, do you think this is going to be a 2-team race coming down to the end, or the fact that we're not even at the All-Star break? You can't rule out Atlanta making a run.
Can't rule them out for sure. I think ultimately, though, the Phillies and Mets, they got the nice little lead and they're good enough teams to maintain it. But yeah, I don't rule the Braves out completely, but definitely, I mean, to me, the Phillies and the Mets, this is going to be a real fun 2-team race.
Given where we are in this era of baseball in the expanded wildcard format, I'm looking at FanDuel here, Atlanta plus 280 just to make the playoffs. So I know it's not a 13-1 gaudy number like that to win the division, but you're still getting nearly 3-1 just to get into the dance.
Yeah, that to me is a real intriguing number. Like I said, there's a bunch of teams in front of them. I mean, you got some real good teams, obviously, out west. The Central's no slouch, so there's nothing easy for the Braves with the hole they dug themselves. But I do think they have the type of team and the type of talent to get there. So I think that's a really appealing number. Especially if you just want to trust talent. You got to hope for health, of course, but that's kind of true of any team.
I know we talked about Sanchez and Brown today. Again, 2 sub-3 ERAs going head-to-head. Yesterday, you had 2 just elite arms, young talents with Skeens and Mizorowski battling between Pittsburgh and Milwaukee. Now, the Pirates stink. We know that, last in the NL Central. The Brewers have actually been a good team, albeit a little inconsistent. But what this kid has, the gas he is throwing, first pitch, getting all revved up over 100 miles an hour, all that. But he's 3-0 with an ERA barely above 1 through 3 starts. Didn't even allow a hit until his, 12th inning in Major League pitching. So I don't know. I'm curious if you had any big takeaways from what was ultimately a 4-2 Milwaukee win.
I just think what we're seeing with him is what I'm seeing with him is what a lot of people are seeing, and that's just that arm angle, how tall he is mixed with the elite stuff, and clearly hitters are just not picking it up and having a real tough time. Now, the walk rate is a little high, and it was even higher in the minors. Now, that's not a concern when teams literally can't hit you. So he's getting away with it for now. Obviously, you're going to get in a game where teams are going to start getting some hits. And if you're putting a lot of free runners on base, that's going to come back to haunt you. But there's no doubt the stuff is elite. And there's no doubt that just the confidence is elite. And he's just a really fun pitcher to watch right now.
National League Rookie of the Year odds. Are we ready to, even through 3 starts, proclaim that ultimately Mizorowski is the guy over the likes of Drake Baldwin, Chase Burns, others that you can see?
Yeah, I mean, he is the leader right now, but like I said, you start giving up some hits, eventually, you're going to have that bad start. Those odds are going to change, so I'm not sure the value's there right this second.
Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News. He is on Twitter at @MLutovsky. Always appreciate when you join us here on NewsWire, and we'll chat again soon. Plenty more baseball to go.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter or this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
As we know, it's just we enter every year and it's, is this the Ravens' time? Is this Lamar Jackson's turn? Can they get past the Chiefs and all of these other, stalwarts of the AFC? But it's always really about Kansas City when we're talking Baltimore.
This potentially, Adam, as I send it back to you, potentially is a game changer in that you get a very talented quarter at a discount price.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
Oklahoma City now becomes one of 4 NBA teams ever, one of 3 NBA champs ever, to win at least 84 total regular season and postseason games.
It's just the beginning, Ben, and you just look at a team with, these guys at such a young age, and, Chet's got a team option, Ismael Dieng has a team option, Jalen Williams team option, Keyshawn Wallace team option. Hey, man, they're all coming back.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're here on NewsWire on SportsGrid as we welcome in a regular host and analyst here on the grid, frequent contributor to this program, and my partner in crime on weekends, Saturday and Sunday nights, Brady Kannon, who is on Twitter at Las Vegas Golfer, joining us to talk what else? Golf. The Rocket Mortgage Classic is underway in Detroit. Brady, how's it going?
Oh, it's very good. Another Thursday, kicking off some golf action. Played a little first round leader action last night and got a couple guys in the hunt right now. So, off to a good start here in what looks to be, yes, a birdie fest indeed. We've had quite the run on the PGA Tour, Adam, and you've been along for the ride the entire time, hearing me blab about it on the weekends. The last 7 weeks, we've had 3 signature events and 2 major championships. That's a pretty good run, a gauntlet of a schedule on the PGA Tour. And now we get to breathe easy a little bit. Couple weeks in a row of a birdie fest, and that's what we're off to here. These guys are already on pace to take the average winning score here in the first 6 editions of the Rocket Classic has been 22 and a half under par, and we're right on pace for something like that.
We had Keith Stewart on with us from Read the Line yesterday, and we're chatting about how this is obviously not a signature event. It's certainly not a major. It's a lesser event, however, not unimportant, because while you don't have the Scotty Schefflers, the Rory McIlroys, you do have, quite a few guys of name because they're trying to pick up points for the playoffs and improve their position. So it's by no means a meaningless tournament. As we look at it right now, and a lot of guys are nearly done with round one, and at the moment, your co-leaders, 5 guys, are at 6 under with that birdie fest. Victor Perez, Andrew Putnam, Minwoo Lee, Lee Hodges, Zach Johnson as well. But many of the expected favorites, we haven't seen these guys yet. Patrick Cantlay, I did mention Minwoo Lee, Colin Morikawa, Ben Griffin, who was a guy that Keith was really high on yesterday as a top 10 play at the very least. Who stood out to you going into the tournament?
Well, Victor Perez is one of my guys, so I like the start that he's off to. He's been playing really good golf as of late. Finished 19th at the U.S. Open at Oakmont a few weeks ago. Also, during that time, he ranked 9th in that field for strokes gained approach. So the iron play has been really good for the Frenchman. I've also got Stefan Jaeger and Davis Thompson, Chris Kirk, and Cameron Young. I think the entire SportsGrid crew is on Cam Young this week. Mike Carver, Cam Stewart, and the aforementioned Keith Stewart. Now, those guys are all yet to tee off. Now, Cantlay, you mentioned, was off to a pretty good start. And, yeah, he's only one off the lead right now. Morikawa, not so much. The last time I looked, he was just 1 under par, which is really like shooting over par at this point with the pace that these guys are setting so far. Keegan Bradley was off to a pretty good start, of course, fresh off the win last week. We've got a lot of golf left, but we also may have some weather in the forecast, Adam, and that could really throw a wrench into this first round. They're expecting here probably in the next half hour to full hour that we could get some scattered thunder showers, and they may last throughout the afternoon. So as far as making any in-game wagers right now, I would probably hold off because this weather could turn things on a dime, and you might have a delay, possibly a restart. I don't know if we're going to finish round one, so a lot to be decided here. I probably wouldn't be so urgent to, or in a hurry anyway, to spend my money just yet.
So that in mind, are we just in a holding pattern when it comes to any potential in-tournament investments, or is there a decent buy spot that you see right now?
Well, some of these guys that are off to a good start, it could be an advantage for them. Victor Perez, again, was a guy I liked pre-tournament who was in the neighborhood of 80 or 90 to 1. Right now, he is tied for the lead, and he's at 45 to 1. So maybe you take a stab with him because you're still getting a very juicy number. Who knows what's going to happen to the rest of the day to these guys that have yet to tee off if we do run into some weather. No matter what, he's off to a very good start. So you could have him in a very good position. All these guys that are at 6 under. Minwoo Lee, the course makes sense for Minwoo Lee. He's not a very accurate driver of the golf ball, but he is a big hitter, and this course absolutely plays to the Bombers. So Minwoo Lee was a popular selection this week, and right now he is following suit. So he's another guy. Now, the price is a little short there at 18 to 1, but if you are going to get involved in game, I'd definitely go with one of these guys that are off to a great start against everybody else who knows what's going to happen for them.
As Brady said, just a birdie fest so far, and how low can they go? That's going to be the question over the course of the next few days. Again, no one has even completed the opening round, and we have a collection of 5 unders, 6 unders. Brady Kannon here, of course, host and analyst at SportsGrid, among other outlets. He is on Twitter at Las Vegas Golfer. Brady, thanks so much.
Just seemed like a salary dump, and that's what the shocking part of it is. But also, let's take a look at this. From a Giants perspective, they have money to spend. People weren't taking their money. Now that they hit the trade market, and quite frankly, I thought they got a steal. You're talking about a guy that should be good in the major leagues for the next 7 to 8 years in his prime, and the going rate of a salary for a great baseball player from the free agent market, it's $300+ million. That's what San Francisco made out well.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter and this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scotty, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Like, don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we've done golf, we've done baseball. We have a lot of baseball today, golf to sweat as well. But the NBA, of course, the draft began last night, round 2 tonight. I don't know if the ratings are going to be quite the same for round 2 or why the league felt it had to extend this to a 2-night event. It was working just fine when the 2 rounds were in one night, but whatever. I digress. We're going to talk about plenty of basketball and some reactions to last night with our next guest in the next couple of segments. Brad Thomas on Twitter at Mr. Brad Thomas. He is from NBC Sports. Brad, how you been, bud?
Man, I've been pretty good. Listen, I was watching the draft last night, and I feel like I'm getting a little bit older because it just felt like it kept going, and they got to the final pick, and I yawned a little bit and breathed a sigh of relief that I could go to bed.
Well, shoot, man, it was just before midnight Eastern. It was a very reasonable time to go to bed after watching it. It was not. I mentioned this earlier. It was not a boring night, but there weren't a lot of trades with respect to current NBA players. A lot of draft picks moving around, obviously, and it was not a chalky draft, but it also just wasn't overly dramatic. A lot of the drama we have seen in the NBA trade market of late helped shape what we saw last night. Let's get into, obviously, going back many months and what turned into, in the eyes of a lot of people out there, a give back, despite what Cooper Flagg says, and that is Flagg winding up with the Dallas Mavericks, the number 1 overall pick, despite having a less than 2% chance of landing that in the NBA draft lottery. And so, look, we knew he was going to go number 1. We expect big things out of Flagg. But, what do we expect realistically out of this Dallas Mavericks team?
This is probably the best situation that a number 1 overall pick has gone to in quite some time, right? It was a team that went out and got Anthony Davis and traded away Luka, and their excuse was they wanted to be better defensively, right? You bring in a legitimate defender in Anthony Davis, and now you bring in Cooper Flagg, who is a great two-way player already, right? He's got the length, he's got the size. but he can also create a little bit of offense for himself. But he goes into a situation where he won't be asked to do much. He won't be asked to carry the team here. Sure, Kyrie Irving's going to be nursing the injury and might not be back until the back half of the season. But if they are going to try to win championships through defense, what a perfect addition with Cooper Flagg. And I think this is probably not going talked about enough, is bringing in Cooper Flagg makes your bench better, right? You're able to move a guy like PJ Washington to your bench, who's a guy who can go out there, grab boards, play good defense, and shoot threes, which just makes them that much better. I was actually kind of surprised looking at their price to win it all, right? Not saying that I think they could beat OKC, right? I don't think they're on that level, but I think like around 40-1 was kind of disrespectful for a team that with Kyrie and a healthy AD was already probably like a 20-1 team. Now you bring in Cooper Flagg, give them a little bit more size, a little bit more defensive prowess. Yeah, I thought that price was a little incorrect.
Well, let's take a look at their roster here. You mentioned a lot of the names, but Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, PJ Washington, Derek Lively, Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, Najee Marshall, Caleb Martin, Jaden Hardy. I mean, we're going all the way down the list, though. You can see it there from StatViews on your screen. But, you know, I'll give you another long list here, and I'll also tell you what these teams have in common. Oklahoma City, Houston, Minnesota, LA Lakers, Denver, LA Clippers, Golden State, San Antonio. All those teams, those 8 teams, have better odds of winning the West than the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks, in terms of the odds, in terms of Vegas, Brad, is a play-in tournament team at best. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if the hype train is getting a little ahead of itself in terms of the commentary and what Flagg can give to this team, if healthy, which is always the element, obviously, versus just the, I don't know, being realistic about how loaded the Western Conference is now.
Yeah, the West is really loaded, but it's also all predicated on Kyrie Irving, right? If Kyrie is a middle of the season return, you get a little bit more meat on the bone. But if he's missing 3/4 of the season, they are a legitimate play-in team, right? You think about who's going to be controlling that offense there. They don't really have many options to choose from. They're deep at the forward and the wing position, but I don't think they're all that great at the guard position, someone controlling that offense. So that's the reason why they're 25-1 to win the West. For me, they'd have to be one of those teams where maybe they go out and get, I don't know, let's pull a name out of the hat, like a Colin Sexton, right, out of Utah, because Ace Bailey's probably going to get much of the run there, and Colin Sexton's probably not going to want to be sitting on the bench. So for me, it makes sense, right? It's hard to win the West when your team could probably be like a 7 or 8, right? But if they can just find a Band-Aid for that team until Kyrie comes back, and he comes back sooner than later, man, I don't know. Maybe I'm just lushing a little too early, but there's a little bit of value there.
Saw a great tweet from Underdog, the NBA account, last night, talking about the second pick, Dylan Harper, who, by the way, is going to make more money on his rookie deal than his dad Ron made in his entire career playing in the NBA. That's what has happened to salaries. Sure, that's a fun conversation at the dinner table. Stephon Castle, Rookie of the Year last year. Victor Wembanyama, Rookie of the year before, obviously. Tim Duncan was a Rookie of the Year back in 1999. Sean Elliott was a top 5 pick of the Spurs. David Robinson, a Rookie of the Year in 1987. So that's 4 out of 5 top 5 picks in Spurs history who were Rookie of the Year. Is Dylan Harper, does he even have a chance to follow suit, or is this just such a foregone conclusion? It's Cooper Flagg.
I actually am not down with Cooper Flagg at -200, right? I just don't think offensively his game's going to be there, and he's going to have that much of an impact. But there's a legitimate chance that Dylan Harper could go in there and contribute a ton. I don't even think I'd go with Dylan Harper, right? I'm just bypassing the top 2 guys, maybe go towards Ace Bailey. I think he's in a better situation where he'll have more free reign to go out there and score a ton. You know, one name that's probably not talked about enough, and I thought this was another price, and you see me, I'm out here in the bargain bin going for bigger prices because it's too early to lay a -200 on a Rookie of the Year. This is not a Victor Wembanyama situation. I'm thinking about Jeremiah Fears, right? Jonte Murray's out with a major injury. He plugs into a really high, fast-paced team. He's a Kyrie-esque kind of player who can create his own shot, but also facilitate. I think that 17 points that he averaged in college can go up to the 2022 when he gets free reign. Has a Jordan Poole who could shoot, has a Zion Williamson he can pass the ball to get those assist numbers up. 40-1 for a guy who I think a lot of people don't realize he's going to be a day one starter and a guy with a really high ceiling, especially with the offense, who has untapped potential, much better than laying minus 200 with Cooper Flagg right now.
VJ Edgecombe lands with Baylor, and the shooting guard, or from Baylor, lands with Philadelphia. The shooting guard has been viewed by a lot of people as one of the winners in the draft last night. I am just, I don't know, maybe there's a personal bias here, but I have just watched Philadelphia ruin first-round pick after first-round pick after first-round pick, and then maybe they thrive elsewhere, or maybe it just never ends up happening. And Joel Embiid seems to be kind of a common denominator. I'm going to throw that out as well. But what does this mean for Edgecombe and just, I don't know, his ability to come into an aging team and contribute?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good pick for them, right? Great defender. A team that I don't think they were like all that far away from success. So for them, they couldn't go out there and get a high upside guy. Not saying that VJ Edgecombe doesn't have a high upside, right? Like he does, but they couldn't go and get a raw player. They go out and get a player who they can plug in instantly, who will make an immediate impact. For them, their team, their entire season is based on Joel Embiid, and if he could stay healthy, Paul George if he could stay healthy, and Tyrese Maxey if he could stay healthy. That is the recipe for the 76ers. But I 100% doubt that he's going to stay healthy. And also, they did have the favorite to win Rookie of the Year, and Jared McCain, before he got hurt. There's just so many really good pieces on the 76ers team, but all of it is just based on how healthy they can stay. VJ Edgecombe, a really good plug and play till this team gets ultimately healthy.
So quickly rounding out the top 10, did you have a favorite pick from the rest of the group?
Favorite pick from the top 10, and I didn't realize that I would be Con Knuckle guy, but you bring a really good shooter to the Hornets, but you also bring that hard-nosed, grinded-out player, a guy who's going to kind of change the culture in the locker room.
Much more NBA Brad Thomas hanging around from NBC Sports. Again, check him on Twitter at Mr. Brad Thomas. Stay tuned, more on SportsGrid, on NewsWire, on the...
Just seemed like a salary dump, and that's what the shocking part of it is. But also, let's take a look at this. From a Giants perspective, they have money to spend. People weren't taking their money. Now that they hit the trade market, and quite frankly, I thought they got a steal. You're talking about a guy that should be good in the major leagues for the next 7 to 8 years in his prime, and the going rate of a salary for a great baseball player from the free agent market, it's $300+ million. I thought San Francisco made out well.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter or this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scotty, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Talking a lot of NBA draft here, reactions from night one. It was a compelling night in many ways. Brad Thomas here with us from NBC Sports. You can get him on Twitter at Mr. Brad Thomas. So, Brad, we've seen moves around the league in, over the last week. Some big names changing teams, obviously none bigger than Kevin Durant, and we'll get there. But the Boston Celtics, a team that won the championship basically a year ago at this time, were the favorites or among the favorites going into this past season. Injuries strike in a big way as the postseason went along, and they just, didn't play as well as they needed to. So I'm not going to make any injury excuses, but we wind up seeing Oklahoma City go on and win the championship. Well, now with Jason Tatum seemingly unavailable all of next year as one of the superstars around the league that has suffered an Achilles injury during this postseason, now they're forced to reevaluate and retool, restructure, reconfigure the roster, get themselves under the second apron. They've done that. Drew Holiday off to Portland, Kristaps Porzingis off to Atlanta. Moves seemingly, and listening to Brad Stevens, the president of basketball operations, talk after the draft last night, it seems like he's committed to the core, those being Tatum when he comes back, Brown, White, Pritchard, guys like that. But everything else is very much in question. So, with Porzingis going to Atlanta in a wide open East, what's the potential, do you think, for both of these teams right now?
The Celtics, I think they kind of felt the need to have to at least semi-punt this season. And the standards for the Celtics punting is a lot different than the standards of like in Atlanta or like in Orlando, right? For them, punting is just we make the playoffs, we give it a run, but we know we're not going to be a title favorite. I think the Celtics still have to kind of probably make some more moves. They have to get something done here. I don't think they're in a situation where they're going to be competitive, championship competitive. Atlanta, they bring in some size. Porzingis is going to have to get healthy as well. I thought that was really nice for Atlanta to be a little bit competitive with some size that can score as well. That was like something that was so weird with Atlanta last season is they didn't have any legitimate size in the paint. They didn't have any legitimate stretch size either. They just kind of like forgot about that aspect of the game. Now they bring in Porzingis. I think that's a natural fit, a really good fit. But I was kind of concerned with Porzingis in the playoffs and the injury, the illness that he was suffering. I hope he gets over it sooner than later.
As for Houston, I was not a believer in the Rockets last year, despite the regular season success. I figured this was a team that was in all likelihood going to go down in round one. Fought 7 games with Golden State, but ultimately did lose. They noticed they had a ceiling, and so Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, they get sent off to Phoenix. Kevin Durant comes in, a 37-year-old, but still one of the better players in the NBA. Had a great year last year statistically, and he is now one of, if not the best player on that team. You pair him up with Şengün, with Thompson, with others. Van Vliet has a new deal. How should we look at Houston's ceiling now?
They should be really happy. And it's not just because they brought in Kevin Durant. Like, how did they trade for a superstar, a game changer, while getting rid of pieces they didn't even want, right? And I mean that in the nicest way possible, but you're okay with getting rid of Dylan Brooks as long as you keep Amen Thompson, right? You were going to shop Jalen Green around, who's probably not going to stay there anyways, right? They kept Reed Shepherd. They kept Whitmore. They kept Şengün. Like, this team is going to be very fun because this was a team that was really good defensively. And when push came to shove, they didn't have that scorer that they needed in clutch situations. It wasn't Jalen Green, right? What happened in the playoffs in clutch situations with Jalen Green? He basically hid in a closet and was afraid to touch the basketball. Then you had Dylan Brooks jacking up shots and became streaky either for good or for bad. Now they bring in Kevin Durant, keep the defensive presence of Amen Thompson, who will take another step. A really good trade, a really good team.
As you know, Brad, life happens fast in the NBA. It wasn't long ago that people were very excited in Phoenix about Durant, Booker, Bradley Beal, who's going to stop them tweets, all this stuff. Well, now Durant's gone, obviously. There were all sorts of injuries last year with Beal. This Phoenix Suns team, looking at FanDuel, has the 3rd worst odds in the West to win that conference. The only teams behind them Utah, and Portland, and they are going out and trying to figure this out. They make a trade with Charlotte, bring in Mark Williams, a former Duke guy, draft another Duke guy, and bring in Malawach. How should we feel about the Suns right now and their potential to, not contend, but compete?
I feel bad for the Suns. I actually feel bad for Devin Booker because this team's not going to be competitive, right? You think about your guard situation here with Booker, Green, and Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal past his prime, not good. But what they did in the draft, I actually have to give them a pat on the back. In my list of winners, I think they had them either in the winner category or honorable mention. Getting Mark Williams in the trade, getting Malawach. They now have some size, some defending size, which is really nice for this team. You already have the scorer, and you're going to have the pick and roll guy in Malawach. They're still going to be a ways away, though. Like, Malawach is raw. I don't think Mark Williams is that big of an impact. This is a really not good team. I don't want to say bad, but they're definitely not good.
I think the craziest sort of sequence that we saw in the draft last night was Atlanta making the deal with New Orleans, obviously, to where it's going to get the Hawks the better of Milwaukee or New Orleans draft picks next year, 2026, first-round picks, and only had to move down 10 picks in order to do so. Basically, Joe Dumars is running this Pelicans front office as though it's a team that's going to compete for the playoffs. I mean, I don't think this team is even necessarily going to be in the play-in tournament. I mean, they won in the 20s last year, and they can't stay healthy. Atlanta may have just pulled off the snipe of the decade.
Queen has to be a home run, or else you could cost a possible job for the general manager, right? Like, this is not a team that's going to compete, a team that can't stay healthy, a team that's not healthy, a team that's giving away assets that are going to be valuable for their rebuild. I don't think Derek Queen was worth that. But this could be long down the road. We look back and he turns into like that Jokic-esque kind of player, and we're like, wow, they were right all along. But bad trade from me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, between that, the Brooklyn Nets using all 5 of their first-round picks, which is something we've never seen in NBA history, that's going to be interesting to watch. There's a lot of team building that is in front of us here in the weeks to come. Remember, free agency hasn't even started yet. Brad Thomas, NBC Sports on Twitter. Mr. Brad Thomas. Brad, thanks so much.
Take it easy.
Just seemed like a salary dump, and that's what the shocking part of it is. But also, let's take a look at this. From a Giants perspective, they have money to spend. People weren't taking their money. Now that they hit the trade market, and quite frankly, I did thought they got a steal. You're talking about a guy that should be good in the major leagues for the next 7 to 8 years in his prime, and the going rate of a salary for a great baseball player from the free agent market, it's $300+ million. I thought San Francisco made out well.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter and this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scotty, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Like, don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Back here on Newswire, I want to thank all of our guests throughout the show. Brad Thomas joined us for a couple of segments. We also had Matt Lutovsky, Brady Kannon, of course, with a live look in at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. We'll continue to have plenty more NBA coverage throughout the day here on SportsGrid. I hope everybody, by the way, had an opportunity to check out SportsGrid's draft program last night for several hours from both the New Jersey and New York studios. That New York studio looking great. That was a really fun show and a lot of great expertise and analysis from a bevy, a handful of people that contributed to that program on the air, never mind all of the collection of people that made it possible off the air. Here on this show, of course, Frank and Luke running the show. We appreciate them. Let's get to our last licks. So when it comes to the NBA draft, of course, Cooper Flagg, that's the guy. That's the one that we're all going to be left talking about. High expectations, already the overwhelming Rookie of the Year favorite. A crazy tweet that we saw yesterday from Spot Track, which, of course, if you're not familiar with the website, check it out across all sports. Just, I mean, you could go dizzy looking at all the great contractual information and trying to wrap your head around everything when it comes to team payrolls for your favorite teams. You're just wondering about, what things look like come free agency, trades, trying to make all the math work yourself around CBAs. Anyway, projecting ahead, Cooper Flagg. So the tweet goes like this. If Cooper Flagg is a superstar, the financial path forward is wild. And here's what we're looking at. Rookie contract, again, number 1 overall pick, about $63 million. The 30% Supermax extension, which would take him from 2029 to 2033, another north of $350 million. 35% Supermax extension from 2034 to 2038. That's another more than $500,000, which means by the time Flagg is 31 years old, he will have already made in his NBA career almost $1 billion, $930 million. And you know what? Here's what the tweet leaves out. It's possible that number is actually short. If Cooper Flagg happens to be all NBA at some point during his rookie contract, those big bloated numbers of 359 and 509 that you see on your screen are going to be even larger. So I don't know if that's going to happen in Dallas. It's going to depend, of course, on a variety of things outside of just his performance. What's everything look like around him, and how many people are in his way? What kind of contention he has to have with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving and others for opportunity and volume and all of it. Not to mention, a lot of people look at Cooper Flagg and say that he's never going to be this powerhouse offensive player. He's someone that is obviously an elite two-way player, but maybe that much more impactful on the defensive side. But still, I mean, if he stays healthy and just plays to any level of expectation, and I know expectations are very, very high, $1 billion almost by the time he's 31. Holy. There aren't even words. So good on you, Cooper Flagg. Your future is set. Just stay healthy and go out and wow us. Let's get to our next. When it comes to the Brooklyn Nets, we alluded to this. We didn't really discuss it with Brad Thomas, but the fact that the Nets went out and used all 5 of their first round picks, all 5. First team in NBA history to ever do that, to have 5 first round selections and actually use them all, and use them in a very curious way, by the way. They drafted 4 guards of the 5, I believe. 3 of them were point guards. So the team building is curious there, and Brian Windhorst went on ESPN. He was on ESPN, obviously, for their draft show, one of them, and said that he was hearing from people all around the league that were just making fun of Brooklyn. And, very curious as to what, he has been doing or they have been doing there in that front office. So interesting insights from Windhorst that he's like, I don't even know who these guys are in terms of these players. Doesn't presume to be a draft expert, but all I can tell you is I'm getting texts from people all around the league dumping all over Brooklyn, wondering what it is that they are up to. Meanwhile, we spent some time earlier this week talking about Richard Lovelady, who went from the Blue Jays to the Mets, and there was a whole big story. I don't really even know why it was a story, maybe just because the name's a little silly, but he wanted to go by Dickie Lovelady. Now, I don't know how many Dickies you run into in your life nowadays? I can think of like Lil Dicky, the rapper and actor. There's Rich, there's Richard, there's Dick. How many Dickies are there? Frank's in my ears are R.A. Dickey. Dickey's his last name, doesn't count. I'm talking about a first name Dickey. You don't run into a lot of these guys. Dicky Vitale, Dick Vitale. I don't think that one works. He doesn't go by Dicky. Nobody calls, hey, Dicky Vitale. Dicky V, that's fair. All right, enjoy. You got plenty more coming up on the grid throughout the day. Go nowhere.